Okay. Oh my God, look at my hair. It's wild.
Okay.
Okay.
She is not in.
Hmm. Oh, because I set it up through here though.
The PO one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I just started.
Are you sure?
Korean? Yes, I'm sure.
Can I just tell her send you a different link?
Yeah.
She said it's cool. You can send her a different link if you want.
Try. You're gonna have to edit this video.
Hmm?
You're gonna have to edit this video.
Do you want her email?
Yeah.
It's just put in Pia. Yep, that go right there.
Yeah. See how brown it is?
Baby, it's okay.
Can you not record FaceTime?
I don't know. I've never tried it. Let's just work with this
Okay.
and we'll worry about
Alright.
that later.
Okay. Oh, you can record a FaceTime.
Okay. Is there any way you could just move the baby stuff over that way?
Mhm.
Oh, here she is, waiting. How do I let someone in? Just admit. Got it. Yay! Look at that. It
Hi.
all works. It all works.
Hi.
Thanks for
Hi.
she literally set it all up because I am a little special when it comes to technology.
It's
Oh, like
okay.
moving stuff. This is great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I was teaching yoga and I had
When?
my
Just like now?
fast light on.
Dude, isn't it so weird, these lives that we live right now?
I know.
Bizarre. I'm like, why am I inside? I need to be done with this.
Exactly. I'm so over it too. I was
So,
teaching
like, I
air
need to
yoga,
be
then I taught
it's like,
power yoga.
oh, dang, you're teaching a lot of yoga.
Yeah.
That's actually a perfect segue. You are not in today's video, sir. So, what this like really is, stop, is I'm just gonna ask you some targeted questions about
Yeah.
the program. Um, More or less, we can even start with like why you came into the program. I remember our first conversation very well. I remember where I was. I remember talking to you, but that first conversation, like when you reached out, we got on that call. Like, where were you at that time?
Yeah. I was lost. If anything. I was like, I need help because there was a lot mentally going on. And I felt, excuse me, and I felt like emotionally it was taking a hit, which then just kind of compiles into affecting the body.
Hmm.
So I was looking for more guidance in the realm of managing my emotional stress eating because that was happening a lot. And I
Hmm.
had no idea why I was craving the things I was craving, but I needed to learn what my body needed.
Mm. So it's
Like,
almost like learning how to understand the signals.
right, right. The hunger pains, the thirst. I didn't even know about I mean, I had a feeling about thirst pains, like, but I didn't know that that could solve a lot of the
Yeah.
hunger. pain that I don't need to stuff my face every 5 seconds. I feel that pain.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
it's a common thing. Honestly, coaching people for like 20 years, that's one of the most common things. People don't really know, but we're not actually taught. That's
right,
the wild part. Like we're not taught the differentials between appetite and thirst.
right. That.
What an easy fix.
And then yeah, like the salt and the sugar thing, like when you
Mm,
broke that down, like
yeah.
craving more salty snacks at
Mhm.
night, like that all had a meaning.
Mhm.
I had no idea.
And then what would you think would be like the top 2 things that you learned, that as overall concepts, and then 2 skill sets? So those are like 2 different things. Like conceptually, what were the 2 things that you walked away with that you practice now?
The just hydrating, to be
Mhm,
honest,
mhm.
that Graminos is like right here. Just like,
It's attached to your side.
yeah, it's like latched to my side. Like right now, right before I came on, if anything, it was just my body needs certain minerals.
Mhm,
And like I should know that, but I didn't, I wasn't like just conceptualizing it all, I guess. But just to feed your body that hydration first
mhm,
thing in the morning is so powerful because it
mhm,
really does sort of flush and
mhm.
kickstart the mood, everything.
Yeah, early
And,
AM hydration.
yeah, the shot of what was it, like apple cider vinegar with the
Yeah,
nuts and all that.
yeah.
I do that like every single day, and I'm like, I think I should take a break from this because you mentioned like take a little break
Oh,
from everything
definitely.
that you
Yeah.
do and let your body reset in a sense.
Mhm, mhm.
And then yeah, I'm trying to think now the second question
So
that you.
the yeah, yeah, just like the big concepts. So the major concepts, like I know, well, the first thing I mean, that was the first thing we worked on for a really long time was getting into hydration,
Yeah,
right? And then the second thing, we really started hammering out your carbs. I
yeah,
remember in the beginning, it was just like constantly feeding and looking around for carbs all the time.
yeah.
Well, we really almost figured out that your carb issue was a hydration issue, right?
Right. So yeah, that was the huge thing. I mean, till this day, the other day I did carb load and I didn't feel good, and I was like, oh my god, this is why I'm like just carb heavy and trying to satisfy my body with
Hmm.
more carbs was not the answer. So the huge thing that you've taught me is like I wasn't getting enough protein for my
Oh
muscle
yeah,
mass.
no,
That was the
definitely.
hugest thing. I was like, oh, no wonder I'm craving all that energy from the
Mhm.
carbs because I'm not getting the appropriate for my muscle.
Well, that and I think like when you started getting back, because at that point you weren't training that much. You were still doing yoga, but you weren't doing like strength training.
No.
And I noticed actually more after the program, your physique changes.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I was just like,
Train like every morning now, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh my god, I don't recognize myself.
yeah. I mean, just like shredded. But people always think that that's from like under eating. If anything, I think you
No.
were you were under eating the nutrient, like foods that were just completely void of nutrition.
Ripped, yeah.
And now I was trying to overfeed you nutrient dense foods.
Right.
Now you're almost like constantly eating, and people just really get caught up there where
Right.
they're under eating these like just nutrient void foods, right?
Exactly.
And they're not eating enough of nutrient dense foods. So
Yes.
like you should have an appetite. You should be hungry for things. I remember you were like, "Why am I so hungry all the time?" Like that's normal. Like you should be pretty
Yeah.
hungry. Like hunger is a good thing for a human. And that's
Right.
like going back to the biofeedback thing we were talking about, just understanding that is your body is in need. Like I have muscle, like I need to feed that.
Yes, especially after the exercise, like that
Yeah.
was the huge point for me is like I didn't know I needed certain nutrients before workout and maybe after the workout. Like I just finished the power yoga and I thought of you and I had a little tangerine sitting on my
Yeah. Getting
countertop and I was like and I had zero self-control. I was like shoving it in my
yeah.
mouth. Like, oh my God, I need to buy more of these. And I'm like,
Yeah.
my body's craving vitamin C, I guess.
Yeah, and that well is also sugars too, because you're so muscular, one of the things that we worked on is taking your carbs. And carbs are great, they're wonderful things. It's just they're a tool in the toolkit, is
Yeah.
putting them near your workouts. Like you
Yes.
need those in order for the glycogen to replenish, in order for the you get hydration in the cells, like getting that stuff like around your
the
workout period.
workout window.
Yeah, you were just like not eating at all here, and I'm like, this is when it's all happening.
Yeah, that's when we
This,
need it.
yeah.
And yeah, the night before is usually like when I would carb, like you had mentioned, eat my carbs at night.
Yep,
Since
help
I'm
you
an
sleep.
early bird and I get a lot of my like movement in early in the morning.
Yep.
That's like perfect time to just use the fuel, I guess, from the
Well, a
day.
lot of it too is based on your schedule. I think that's
Yeah.
one thing that people really one of the reasons I'm doing these interviews too is because it's modern humans. It's that like these diet trends are like based on time and it's excluding a macronutrient because it's excluding a food, but it's like we can't even have that conversation if we
Mhm.
don't talk about your life,
Right.
your schedule. So you have like you get up in the morning and you're stacked with
Right.
classes. So it's like, when am I going to find the time to eat? When am
Exactly.
I going to fuel? Then I've got like a million other stressors going on. Like when I first talked to you, I remember,
Oh my God.
we didn't even talk about food. It was just stress management.
It was stress management. I
Stress
was so
management number
busy.
one.
I was so busy. And then I was like,
Even
I
in
just need
quarantine.
somebody to tell me what to do.
Yeah, but honestly, like, I know right now we're still, what's wild is we're still just as busy without the amount of people in our lives.
Right.
That really kind of goes into, I know a lot of people value social interaction. I
Mhm.
do. I mean, we've hung out a bunch of times, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's incredibly important, but that's such a small piece of it all.
Right.
Like work stress.
Yes.
70% of people's stress, I just found this out the other day, is work stress. And of that work stress, most of that is related to financial stress.
Yeah.
So we have these bigger,
So good.
bigger foundational things that we have to look at
Mhm.
in nutrition and health programs. Like we really need to look at people's schedules, their lifestyle, and their stress,
Right. Right.
and then adopt appropriate tactics, habits. In my opinion, you need to get the foundations down, like hydration, the correct nutrients that are just for you, like not for anybody else, like for
No,
you.
exactly. Absolutely. And you used the whole embody thing that I had,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So that, I mean, I found that fascinating that you were even able to do that from just my
Yeah.
numbers and stuff like that. So
Well, it's really get to dial down nutrition to that level where we ended up, and that's where everyone should get to.
right.
Is the foundation has to, you have to manage the stress, because you can't do anything if you're going crazy. It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter
Right.
what you do. If your lifestyle is crazy and there's an emotional stress eating patterns, once that's settled, cool, we can stack. Now we can
Yeah.
stack. Now we can talk about macros. Now we can dial it in. Now we can talk about protein.
Yeah.
We can go back even 5 minutes in this conversation. We're talking about eating enough protein just to support your lean body mass,
Right. Right.
right?
Right. Exactly. So I found that like highly just brand new for my brain to process.
Hmm.
Wow, I need certain proteins
Yeah.
and less carbs. And based on my allergies, that was the biggest thing is like,
Yes.
I'm allergic to half the things in the carb.
So
You
could you
know,
do me a
anyways.
second and just talk about that? Because a lot of people, especially of recent past 2 years, I've noticed coaching is the amount of allergies. Okay. And I believe that's for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
However, can you just list like the things that just flare you up or the symptoms, like all whatever?
Oh, yeah. So if I have like pizza or high levels of sugar,
Mm,
it definitely like just disrupts my gut
mm-hmm,
and I get sleepy eyed
mm-hmm,
look and I will pass out on the spot. Like I'll pass out behind the wheel if I have any sort of muffin, pizza, pastry,
mm,
bagel, um, whatever, what else? Cookies,
mm.
treats, like just all that sugar, that stuff that turns to sugar.
Yep.
It's too much for the body
Mm-hmm,
to process, I guess.
mm-hmm,
And then it crashes because the body, because the liver is really,
mm-hmm,
just trying to catch up with it all.
mm-hmm.
But I didn't even realize, and you pointed out my corn chips. Like I thought because they were gluten free that they were safe. But no, they were flaring me up too because
Mm-hmm.
I was eating too much.
Yeah.
So it's the compilation of it
Mm-hmm.
all at the end of the day, and the lentils
Yep.
and what else, or the cauliflower, not the rice. There's cauliflower pasta that I started taking. I was just like knocked me out.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's
like
interesting when you get into like real food
rice
intolerances. Like,
flours and stuff like
yep,
that.
yep,
So it all packs in on
it
top of each
does.
other. It's the
It really does.
accumulation of it from meal to meal.
Yes.
So having you like just mention like when I remember at night, I was like, oh, I'm hungry. And I was satisfied with just the vegetables and
Mhm.
protein. I didn't really feel like I needed carbs at that
Mhm.
point because I
Mhm.
was hitting my protein numbers.
Yeah, and that's when we were waving and we started dipping into carb cycling. Just
Yeah,
because, yeah,
exactly.
when the last phase, when you get the health phase done, you've set up your foundation, then sure, we can talk about aesthetics and get you whatever goal you want without
Right.
being restrictive,
Right.
without cutting things out. Because we didn't move alcohol out of your program. We
Exactly.
moved it around, but a lot of
Moved
people
it
think, I
around and I
can't
was
drink,
seeing
I
results.
I can't have cake, I can't do this, I can't do that. But what were the things that you didn't give up, like, at all throughout the program?
The alcohol. The
Yeah.
alcohol was
I
a
mean,
big
people
one.
need to know that.
And on the weekends, I was eating a lot more fun foods because I think that's where we realized it was around the holiday that I was
Mhm.
doing this, and I
Yep.
was gonna have to just, I
Mhm.
don't want to be the one sitting in the corner and not being able to eat certain things. So you
Right.
did, you planned out this week
Mhm.
for me and made sure I was hitting more of the heavier numbers on the
Yep.
weekend so I can socialize and have
Mhm.
a life, right?
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
or during the week when I can manage my own schedule, I was, you know, just hitting it hard, like with keeping exactly what I needed to take in.
Yeah, I think that's like a really important part is like a health plan actually fits your lifestyle and your social schedule on the
Right,
weekends. Because most
right,
most people, even though you and I have kind of similar career paths, right? We
right.
don't have the most normal schedules. Now, most people kind of work between these 9 to 5, and you see very much.
Mhm.
Um, I've done a lot of like caloric reports and stuff. People eat pretty well. It's like
Yeah.
I've always said this: you have two types of yourself. It's the 9 to 5 Monday to Friday you, and then like the weekend Hulk that
I
comes.
know.
It's like, ah, this is my time. I
Exactly.
have no schedule. I've had a rough week. I just want to
I know, I just want all the chocolate and
yeah, all
everything
of it.
else.
And there's got to be, and I've always I have found a nice happy medium. So who would you recommend this program to? Like what type of person? Like what type of struggles? Like who would you recommend this to?
Anybody struggling, I feel like the main reason I came to you was mental and emotional.
Mm,
I'm rarely like a physical aesthetic, I want that benefit kind of person, but I want to make sure my internal world is feeling like it knows what the hell is going on, so it supports the body. So if anything, I would recommend it to people that are highly stressed, especially all these healthcare workers that are
yeah.
helping the frontliners and all these kind of things just make sure the world is okay right now and the people in it. Um, Anybody that's having a hard time feeling depressed in their quarantine and just stress eating, I
Mm,
that's the biggest thing right now. The stress eating for a client that I have, she just doesn't know how to stop the sugar intake. And I almost recommended her to you, but she wanted somebody to like cook for her and just
no,
tell
yeah, I
her
can't do
and like
that.
prepare the meals and just tell her this is what she needs to eat.
No,
So it
I
doesn't
don't do that.
work, but the kids are all home and the kids are now watching the parents eating these heavy sugar
Yeah.
meals.
Hmm.
If it's, and she feels now guilty for her, I guess her display of eating this stuff is making it okay for her daughter to have this stuff.
Mm,
And now she's hiding the sugars from her daughter. Meanwhile, she's eating it anyways.
yeah.
So people that are working at home, their kids are now just kind of mimicking the behavior they see the parents
And
going after.
that's the next generation.
Yeah,
That's the next generation, and that's a big thorn in my side. Just because
right.
we're gonna, what we're looking moving forward is what I call like the new era, right? Like I've always believed our physiology has been rapidly changed in the past 5 years, but
Right.
I've seen in the past 6 months a physiology that I've had to basically reroute my entire coaching system
Hmm.
to even go deeper into. Like with you, it was stress management, but that's like I'm spending almost 8 weeks in a stress management phase, where
Right.
before it was like 4 to 6, and now it's like 8 to 12, where it's
Just
taking longer to reset physiology
it's
because of
hard to, yeah,
it's
because there's
not
so many
easy.
people triggering the stress too that you
Yeah,
just can't get rid of out of your life. You have to learn how to work
you
around
got to
it.
learn how to manage it. You know, it's just like
Exactly.
it's like yoga. Like if I'm going to do yoga, and my back hurts. What are you going to suggest? You're going to suggest a workaround. You're not going to be like, you know what, Adrian, just don't do yoga
Sit
today.
out. Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
not going to sit out. That's the thing. Humans, it like we don't want to sit out, right?
No.
But we've failed so many times, and in my opinion, this system is set up to fail. It really
Right.
is. We take a stressed system, and we throw it on top of a program system that was developed in like the 60s
Hmm.
because it's working off calories in, calories out. It,
Oh yeah,
it's
that's
it's a
it.
formula
That's
that
the biggest one.
it's a
We didn't count
formula that
any
doesn't work.
calories.
Yeah, just I mean, listen, at the end of the day, that does matter. It's calories in, calories
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
But how you get there in the process cannot start. If I said, Pia, let's start a food journal week 1, you'd be like,
Yeah, no, I don't want to do
yeah,
that.
thanks for triggering all of my mental issues with food.
Exactly.
So like that's a thing, and I struggle with that myself when I first started getting into diet culture when I was younger. Because I'm Puerto Rican, I had thicker body. Like I started
Right.
dieting at like 10, right?
Right.
So like all the things that we were talking about, like they matter more once you set that up and set up the framework. Then we have something that we can work with. And yes, I can sculpt you like this for
Right.
sure. But it might take you, and what I really want them to understand, and why this call is so important, is that it's going to take time. Right? I think we were together for 4 months. It was an
Yeah,
extended. We did
it
an
was
extra
really
4.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we
'Cause
did some damage in 4. And you look great. You
you
gained
know,
weight,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you
I
still,
think, I mean,
yeah,
I swear by you all the time. I'm like, wow, I mean, I'm so glad I reached out because I was so lost. And being in the healthcare industry for like spirit, mind, and body connection, I wasn't really connecting like, okay, there's certain limits to foods and things
yeah,
like that too. You can't just be like, oh, I'm healthy and I can get away with eating this, that, and that. It's like, not all the time, but
yeah.
it needs balance, just like everything else.
And it's sometimes you need someone else to come in and take over the
Right,
driver's seat because we're doing so much, right?
right,
We're
right.
we're
Yeah.
managing career, relationships, family, taking care of people, finances, like external situations, and then we're
Mhm.
supposed to have the time and the energy to figure out my health, which we
Right.
weren't taught. But the thing is, even a lot of things that we are taught are incredibly outdated
Exactly.
science, and they're not relevant.
Right.
Like
Right.
those rules don't apply anymore to the modern human. Our
Yeah.
whole entire society shifted. And when we go
Exactly.
back in, it doesn't change the fact that our physiology in the past year has been massively, and it's going to take some time to level that out.
Exactly.
And health can't just take a backseat and wait for our bodies to figure out, like we have to do this together. Like we have got to work through the stress together, get these foundations set up. So when things start to normalize, we have a great foundation
Mhm.
of habits,
Mhm.
skills,
Mhm.
strategies, and education that can allow us to be then healthy in whatever setting. Because I don't think anything could possibly be worse than this. I don't
Right.
want to say that in the universe, but
No, if
you
anything,
know what I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely. And that's what I loved about you is like, I showed you what I had going on and you didn't judge me at all for it. I wouldn't expect you to, but like I didn't feel guilty telling you that I had a drink like every single day. And you
Yeah.
were like, okay, we're just working around it.
Yeah, I know. I remember. I was like, "What's your drink total?" This is what like literally. When I'm on the phone doing
Yeah.
an intake, I'm like, "What's your drink totals?" Okay, I have like I have like it now like a very digital form. Now I've updated quite a bit.
Right.
It's like 7 to 14, 14 to 21, 21 plus 30 to 40. And people are like, "Does anyone hit 30 to 40?" I'm like, "Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot." Don't judge. It's part of their plan. That's my job is to figure that out.
Yeah.
But like, we can't make judgments for people because that's what a lot of these diets are just incredibly restrictive. They're like, okay, don't drink, don't eat sugar, and don't eat bread or something. It's like, well, then how do I know which one of those is my problem? I
Right. And
don't.
then most of the times what I learned was a coping mechanism. It was my
Yeah,
emotional
it's a
crutch. And
kickstand.
I wasn't ready to let it go, but I wanted to start somewhere.
And that's the key. Is that like, I think the biggest takeaway from this is like people don't know where to start, and they
Right.
don't really trust it anymore because they've tried every diet.
Right.
They've done so many things, and it hasn't been able to evolve with them.
Exactly, exactly. And at this point, I mean, I think you'd be proud of me because this time last year we started. Do you
Yeah,
remember?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm
That's
not
right.
even,
It was right before Christmas because I made you blame
yeah,
all
it
your
was
stuff
like
on me.
before Thanksgiving
Yeah,
even.
yeah,
But I was like,
right.
we're going on runs. I'm like, what the hell am I? And she was like,
Yeah,
you need to move like 20 minutes at least, do some 20-minute cardio a day. And then I also, just to let you know, this year I stopped drinking. I think I stopped drinking like October.
what?
Yeah,
Oh
so
my
I saw
gosh.
immediate gains, like
Wow.
shred. And I
Wow.
know you mentioned if you can let it go, that's amazing. But if not, it's okay. Like,
Yeah, I always just like to see kind of some people. I always like to see how fast can I drive a car.
right,
It's like
right,
it's fun to know sometimes, like what do you capable of off of all the stuff. Like, what can your body
Yeah.
really do? And it's fine if
So
it comes back in.
right. And yeah, exactly. And so that's what I did. So the anniversary of like when I first reached out to you, I was like, I'm gonna start this 30-day no alcohol. And I was surprised that I was able to do it. And then now I'm like,
You
okay, I
feel
have a
so
drink
good though.
once a week. I'll have like something to drink, and that's it.
Yeah, it's great when you start doing that too. You feel different for longer periods of time.
Yeah. And I'm like,
Like,
oh,
you're
wow.
like, "Man, my sleep is pretty set, like, I have way more energy." And the thing is when you
Right.
do have alcohol, you
Oh my
feel it
God,
way more. You're
dude.
like
Yes, that was the hugest thing. I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, my sleep quality, which is why I think I feel way more vibrant, my
Oh,
mental
totally,
sharpness,
totally.
like
Well, then if you're an entrepreneur too,
powering.
like, everything that we do is based on our performance.
Yeah,
So, if you
I
don't,
need my brain right now. Yeah.
yeah, if you're not alive, and it's different when you're with somebody, right? So, it's even extra hard when you have to do that over video because you have to bring a whole different level. Because
Yeah.
people can mostly feel that off you, like when you're teaching a class or something like that. But like you have to be in that high performance stage because that's how we are paid basically via performance.
Right, I know. I'm like lights, camera, action. Okay,
Right,
I gotta
right.
be screaming now because
Yeah.
you can hear me. Like I was like, I need to be a bit more turned on to go on screen, and the
Yeah.
alcohol and all that was just not helping. I was
No,
looking shitty and it was just terrible.
yeah, I mean, the key is like if you can again, like you don't have to cancel because you're tired. That's time lost. And what
Right.
people don't really tie this into are these major pain spots, which can affect your finances. So if you're
Right.
calling out, if your performance at work is dipping down and shit like that I probably shouldn't curse on this, but whatever. I, I can't take the me out of me. Um, those things are actually very, very important where people are like, man, I'm actually like getting more stuff done at work or
Yeah.
like I'm on top of stuff, like I'm not tired.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you can actually like not be tied down to this fatigue and it's like,
Hmm.
I feel like crap. Cause then like when you skip the gym, then mentally you get like, well, now I suck as a person. I let myself down
Right.
again. And like a lot of that doesn't have to be psychology. We can fix a lot of it with physiology.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Exactly. Wait, explain the physiology.
So the difference between physiology and psychology would be the mental framework.
Okay.
Physiology would be the physical chemical signals in the
Okay.
body, right? So physiology can be fixed via nutrition.
Okay.
I mean, it can do both, right? But I'm talking more or less on the nutrition end. Here's a great example. So let's say at 3 o'clock, you always crave a Snickers and you lean into it at 3. All right. And what do you do after that 3 o'clock? You're like, well, I feel like shit about myself.
Exactly.
I ate that Snickers bar and I just can't stop because I crave sugar. Now
Right.
you start thinking, I'm weak. I can't, I don't have the strength.
Right. The
The
willpower.
Jedi strength. I must be strong. You don't have the Jedi strength to resist. Where it's not a psychological weakness, it's a physiological error. Meaning you
Oh,
weren't hydrated, you didn't have enough nutrients. So
right.
no, it's not because you're weak-minded or you're not strong enough, you don't have the motivation or willpower. You literally have a physiological issue. You're
Yeah.
dehydrated, you don't have the right nutrients. So if we can kind of believe me, psychology is very, very important. I mean, you know me, I go into that stuff deep. But
Yeah.
like I try to attack the physiology first. Well, let's get you up. And if those things are still there, then let's totally address them. I don't ever not address that because I think then you're not seeing someone for who they are.
Yeah.
They're just like, I'm not going to pay attention to what you're really saying.
Exactly.
Um, but like, if you stop craving that Snickers because you're hydrated, the sugar cravings, yeah, well, then your physiology fixed it. And then your psychology is like, well, yeah, it's cool. I don't need that Snickers. That
Right.
improves both.
Right.
It improves
Right.
both.
Exactly.
So like I think that's like a big takeaway for people is like it's not because you're weak. It's not because you failed. Like the system's kind of set up
Mm-hmm.
not that well. And unfortunately, we've still funneled ourselves into two options. It's like, Nat, I'm so overwhelmed with misinformation and confusion. I'm not going to do anything at all. That's camp one. This is where we are in 2020, which I can't even get my head over. Camp two is I'm motivated today. I'm going to try this new diet and
Right.
I have to adopt 7,000 new habits.
You're
Then
right.
becomes overwhelming. I fail and I go back to this camp.
Yeah.
How is
Yeah.
that? That's all we have. That's it.
Right. And then with the busy schedule, it's like,
Forget it. It's
well,
impossible.
it's
It's
impossible.
impossible.
So yeah,
I mean,
that was the hugest thing. The busier I was, the less water I was taking
Yeah.
it because I was constantly moving. Who has time to like hold a bottle? Who has time to
Honestly,
hold a bottle?
You'd be
to drink?
surprised how many, like in like, you know, like week 1 and 2, like people are like, all right, I just need you to drink water. Like, what?